So, right now, guess where I'm going? On a date. Yep. Like, okay, so my friend Jackson is in my ward, and he and my friend Colin, who ruined my phone, came over on Tuesday night, and Colin gave me a nickel to pay for my phone. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I thought that's the only reason why they came over here. I'd be loving me some Colin. So when I went to their house for French toast, they were talking about that there was like this opera concert coming up, and Colin and Jackson were like, oh, we should go on a double date. And then Jackson was like, oh, I don't know if I want to take my own person because, like, I don't want to feel like pressured into getting serious with whatever girl I take. And Colin was like, yeah, totally, we should just go together and, like, ask a friend girl. Okay? So I overheard. I've officially gained the freshman 15, just so you know. Can you tell? Tuesday, when they came over and Colin gave me my nickel, Jackson was like, hey, what are you doing on Friday? And I was like, nothing. And he said, want to come to the opera Cantus concert with us? We would love for you to come. And I was like, sure. And Colin's all, okay, cool. So we'll pick you up at like 6. We will see you. That means they're both taking me. So does that make it a date? Am I actually going on a date? Or am I just like getting my hopes up? Also, Colin told Mallory that Jackson likes me. Which is fine, because he's pretty much the most righteous person in the entire world. But I was going for Colin. So if this is not a, like, they both take me weird date, and it's a double date, and Colin's there with another girl, and I have to sit there the entire time and pretend like I'm having the time of my life with Jackson so that he doesn't get his little fragile heart broken in half, I'm gonna die. It won't be weird, Melissa. It will not be weird. If it's a double date, then cool. Go Colin. You got a girl. If it's not a double date, then cool. Go Melissa. You got 2 guys. Yep. I'm awesome. I really hope you're not showing these videos to people, because I look awful right now. Jackson came over and picked me up, and he was like, when he opened the door, it was so cute. And he was like, wow, you look great. And I was like, oh, thanks, Jackson. And it was kind of awkward. And so then, like, we walked out. You know, the Wilkinson Center in Provo? Well, the MC is like that, but in Rexburg. So, yeah. So we went to the MC. We're waiting for Colin and his date. So there was 5 couples, and we all met in the MC, and we had clothespins, and I was like, what are these for? And Colin explained that we were going to write compliments on one side, and then write pass it on the other, and we were going to go around campus clipping them to people, but we couldn't get caught or else it didn't count. And then the couple who, like, got rid of theirs the fastest wins. So we ran all around campus, like, clipping them to people. But anyway, it was super fun, and Colin was so good at it, and Jackson was so good at it. It was hilarious watching them, like, creep around, and, like, it was great. And then we went to the Spory, which is, like, the arts building, and there's 3 floors, so we went to the 3rd one in the balcony, and from the 3rd floor balcony, you can see the main floor. So we made paper airplanes, and we were throwing them down and, like, seeing who could fly the farthest across the building or whatever. But it's really funny because that building is, like, silent because it's the arts building. So you have to be really quiet because the 1st floor is a giant art exhibit, like, constant. And so we had to be really quiet. And so that was why it was funny. Like, it wasn't funny what we were doing, but it was funny because we had to be quiet. So that was fun. We were throwing airplanes, and then Colin was down there catching them, but I didn't know how to make an airplane, so I made Jackson a crane, and then later, when he was dropping me off, he went to, like, put something else in his wallet, and he had folded up the little crane and put in his wallet. It was time for the concert, so we go to the dang concert, and it was, amazing. It's called Cantus. Cantus. Be looking them up, because they were dang flawless. flawless. They were a cappella, Janae. A cappella. Except for a couple songs when they had like during intermission, Colin's date just gets up and leaves. And she was like, "Oh, well, I'm going to a corn maze with some of my friends. Like, you know, they were talking about it this morning," and I was like, "Oh, I want to go." So they're like, "Oh yeah, you totally can." So they're coming. They're gonna pick me up right outside. So I'm gonna go to the corn maze. So peace. And I was like, "Really? You're ditching Colin?" Like, he's like, "Dang." So he gonna move on. I wonder who he gonna move on to. That is so good. And the concert was super fun, and then we started walking back, and like, okay, he still had to go to that girl's apartment and get his stuff, and she wasn't there, so he had to just like walk in with the roommates, and it was awkward. Anyway, so we were gonna walk up with him, and it was freezing cold, and I was wearing a dress. It was just awkward because Colin kept like, okay, it wasn't awkward. I dang loved it. Don't get me wrong, but it was awkward because Jackson was there, and I knew that Jackson liked me, and so it was weird because Colin kept like complimenting me and stuff, which is fine. He was probably just being nice. He probably didn't mean anything about it, but it was just awkward because Jackson was there. This is Chealsea. She's under us and to the right, and this is Mallory. I'm
you,
picking
Janae.
her nose.
I love you,
watched
Janae.
Switched
at Birth?
Heck yes, I watched Switched at Birth.
Why is Meredith?
There might be because this is a list of things that make me cry. I don't even think she watches these because they're all like 15 minutes long.
But you say you miss her.
I do, bees. And I want her to come visit me, but she's choosing to buy a cow instead of come visit me. And Colin was like, saw me like shivering, and we were talking about like girls being skinny, and Colin's just adorable, and I can't take it. And so he was like, "You don't have to walk me all the way. I feel really bad because you're cold, and I don't have a jacket to give you." And then, so Jackson walked me home, and then we were like talking at Mallory's for a little bit. Today, I sat in the front, and Jackson gave a talk, and that was cool. And then I went to Mission Prep again, and it was so cool because Sam like got to do this like fake teaching thing, and it was cute. After Mission Prep, Colin was like, "Oh, I like your shirt," because he loves purple and black, and that were his school colors, and he loves Tangled, and he loves everything that I love. It's ridiculous. Like, okay, on the date, like me and Jackson would be talking about something, and then Colin and Jackson would be like, "Oh, I don't really like that," and Colin would be like, "Oh, I love that," and then me and Colin would start talking about it. Janae, we like the same, okay. And we were talking after Mission Prep. And then I went to Relief Society. And then after church, I was talking to Sam. Oh, and then Colin came over to eat a pumpkin muffin. And we had been making dinner. And so I was like, "Do you want some dinner?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "Dude, we have tons of extra." And he's like, okay. And so he stayed for dinner. And then he kept like joking about Jackson and I. "Oh, well, if you like Jackson, then you'll do this. Why don't you take Jackson some food? He's going to be at the church building for a long time. It's okay, he'll like you whether or not you bring it to him. But really, like, if you like him, you should take him some food." I just feel like he was testing me. I'm probably just way overanalyzing it. But anyway, I don't want him to think that I like Jackson. So then their other roommate, Jake, was at Mallory's house, and like I'm friends with him too. And so we were talking, and he was like, "Do you like Jackson? Do you like Jackson?" And I was like, I went on one date with the kid, okay? And so I was like, "Dude, he's awesome." And there was like, I could date him, but like I'm not going to because he's going on a mission and I don't like him. And he's like, "Well, if you could date him, then why don't you like him?" And I was like, I didn't want to tell Colin's roommate that I liked Colin. It was hard times. That's it.